Hey, parents and players. This is going to be in lieu of the meeting that we should have had in May, but we couldn't have for COVID reasons. So this is going to go over the handbook, which I'll also send you a copy of in your email. And then you'll have this video, and then you'll have a Google form that player and parent need to complete saying that they've watched that. So now let's meet your coaches. There are 4 of us this year. Miss Bozen teaches science in the high school, and she's been with us the last couple years. Prior to that, she was a middle school coach, and she also played for Coach Scott when she coached at Urbandale High School. I'm the little one. I am Charity Miller. I have been at ADM High School for 15 years teaching American history and coaching. And of course, we have Coach Scott, who's been with us for 14 years, and she is a graduate from Dubuque and played at Simpson College. We have a new volunteer coach this year. This is Erin Thompson. She is teaching kindergarten at Adel Elementary, and she also played volleyball at Simpson College, and we're ecstatic to have her with us. She's amazing. How to get a hold of us. These are our email addresses. Try to hit us up on the top 3 first. Coach Thompson is a volunteer, and she's busy with kindergartners all day, and we'll try to get back to you as soon as we can. If you have a bigger topic that requires a phone call, let's just set up a time, and we'll take it that way too. Open gyms and off-season lifting are pretty much done, but I want to talk about how awesome they were. We had outstanding attendance. The girls did a great job of pre-screening. They did a good job of social distancing. Just in the future, remember that open gyms are not required, but we highly, highly encourage them, especially if you're moving from the middle school to the high school level, because there's a definite change in the speed of the game. Summer lifting also had outstanding attendance. Coach Roop sent me the attendance the other day, and we had a couple players that attended every single lifting session, so that was a great job by them. In-season lifting. If you are not taking the first semester strength and conditioning class, you need to make sure that you're going to lifting 2 times a week in the morning. We are working with Coach Roop this upcoming week during practice, and he'll go over more of that information at that time. This is our coaching philosophy. Basically, it comes down to we guarantee the same amount of practice time for everybody, and you're going to get 100% of us, and we expect 100% of them. Our goal as coaches is not only to have a successful program, play to win, and to make your kid a better player, but we also want to make your player a better person. We hope that they are better prepared for life and having played ADM volleyball, and they've learned the skills that will help them be successful adults, like responsibility, accountability, respect, learn how to self-advocate for themselves. So, and also this idea of team. We're big into the idea of team. All right, our format is a little different than other coaches or other teams that are within the conference. A lot of the conference schools have switched to the same format we use, but some still have a true freshman team. But we have no straight grade level teams. There's not a freshman team. There's not a sophomore team. There's not, JV that you can only be sophomore through 12th grade. We run a varsity team, and then we run JV teams. And those JV teams can be made up through 9th through 12th grade, and they're based on skill ability. So higher skill players are going to be on the JV black team, and then more developmental players are going to be on the JV white and then some of the JV red. So we will have instances where we go play another conference school and they have a true freshman team, and JV red will play that true freshman team even though themselves they're not true freshmen. This is a system we switched to a couple years ago and we've really liked, and it really does promote skill development amongst the players. And these teams are fluid, so a player might start out on JV white and end up the season on JV red or on any of the other teams. Fluid, we will let you know who's on the team each week. Varsity letters, you can read through this. Basically, everybody gets a certificate of participation unless you play in more than half the games at the varsity level. Then you'll get a letter and then the following awards for years following that. Okay, player rules and guidelines. Number 1, academics. Academics are your priority. So you need to be passing all your classes and you need to be well behaved in your classes. If you're not, we're going to find out about it and we're going to have a little chit chat. If you need to work with a teacher, just let us know. If you got to be 15, 20 minutes late because you're in Mr. Krause's room doing math, it's cool. We get it. We want you to be students first. Just communicate that directly with coaches. Don't tell somebody to come tell us that you're over here. Shoot us an email. You all got Chromebooks. Attendance. All practices are mandatory. Okay, we keep everything on the Google Calendar and we try to keep that up to date as possible. If you are not at school, you cannot come to practice or play in a game that day. Also keep that in mind too. If you are sick, please let one of us know because then we're looking for you at practice. Things that are not excused. Babysitting, hair appointment, shopping, working, summer vacations, none of those are unexcused, or none of those are excused absences, I'm sorry, and there will be repercussions. If you're not sure if something is excused or not, talk to a parent. How unexcused absences work. If you have an unexcused absent, absence, you will sit one game of a match. There are typically anywhere from 2 to 3 games in a match, and you'll just sit one. If you have 2 absences, you'll sit 2 games in a match. If you have 3, we're going to talk about what your role is on the team if you should stay with the program. If you are in an out-of-season sport, let's say like club softball or club soccer, that is not excusable for you to miss practice. Your in-season school-sponsored sports are going to come first. Now, if you are doing another activity within the district, within the school, we will make adjustments and we will work with that other coach or that other activities director so you can do both successfully. So if you're in band or cheer or cross country, we're going to work together so you can do both band, cheer, cross country, and play volleyball at the same time. General expectations. Now, some of these may change based on what's going to happen with COVID. I'm going to go ahead and tell you about what has been the expectation in the past. If it changes, we will let you know when we know more. Everything is still growing and fluid right now, and as the season goes, anything can change in a minute, kind of based on what's happening within the state. So typically game nights, varsity helps with JV, then JV stays and cheers for varsity. So we're all there supporting each other at the same time. Now, this is one thing that could change. We'll let you know if it does. Things that will not change. No gum at practice. You have to wear a shirt. It's going to be hot next week, and we're going to do some conditioning outside. You still got to keep your shirt on. Okay? Just because you've had a varsity uniform in the past does not guarantee you're going to have one this year or that you couldn't possibly lose it. Everybody needs to work for their position and be committed to the team and to practices and to games. Nights before games or tournaments, you need to be at home and in bed at 11 o'clock. We're going to talk about the importance of sleep and nutrition, and this is one of those things that we're kind of sticklers on. After a late night bus trip, you're expected to be in your first hour class the next day. No calling in sick and then showing up by second period. All athletes are expected to be in class, not just volleyball players. Riding the bus. We're not sure what this is going to look like yet. In the past, we have required that all players ride with us to an event, and then sometimes parents could sign them out afterwards. We have in the past also taken cell phones to encourage team bonding and actually talking to each other, and then after the games have given them back. We're not sure what this is going to look like in terms of what's going on right now. When we know more, we will share it with you. And then, of course, listen, coaches are here to coach, players are here to play, and a little less of me and a little more of us will create a great team atmosphere. Player nutrition and self-care. We're not going to tell your kids what to eat. We're just going to encourage them to make healthy decisions. Water is what they should be having at practice. They need to bring their own. After they've had a really hard workout, we really encourage them to drink a glass of chocolate milk, moderation in what they kind of eat. Proteins are great, fresh fruits and vegetables, limit the sugary sweets. We know all that. Another key component, especially with busy high school kids, is sleep. Make sure they're managing their time so that they're, going to practice or games, they're getting their homework done, and they're in bed at a decent amount of time. They're still growing, and they can be cranky if they're not getting enough sleep. So encourage them to go to bed at a decent time. Injuries. We are fortunate that we have a trainer, and we're also going to have a PT person on staff next year to work with ADM athletes. If your player is injured, we're going to encourage them to get down there right as soon as they can after school so that they can meet with the trainer and they can give them their exercises, or they can ice them, or they can stretch them, because a lot of times our trainer does have to get outside to football practice. We're also Monday going to talk about hurt versus injured. If you haven't run all summer and we're going to start training on Monday, yeah, you're probably going to hurt, but you're not injured. So knowing the difference of when, you just need to do a better job of getting in shape and doing some more stretching versus, I rolled my ankle, it's swelling, I need some ice, is something that we'll talk about with your players, but for them to acknowledge as well. And then also communicate all injuries. If you roll your ankle at practice and you don't tell us about it, then we don't know that you need to get ice or that you need to stretch. And then you'll just come in with a doctor's note and we're like, when did this happen? So if we don't see something, just let us know just so we're aware. And then the last big one, concussion protocol. If you get a concussion, we cannot allow you to practice. We cannot allow you to play until you are released from a doctor. So there is no negotiation. There's no I'm feeling better. You have to be released before you're allowed back on that court. General communication. I feel like we communicate a lot. So if you feel like you don't know what's going on, shoot me an email and I'll happy to fill you in. You're going to receive a ton of emails from us. I send a weekly email that tells you what JV teams and who is on them. the practice schedule, the competitions, and the bus leave times, or if we have anything else that's going on. If we have a change in schedule, I'll send you an email. Email, though, is, again, I talked about this earlier, the best way to communicate with us throughout the day. Player parent concerns. If you have a concern, the best way to address this is to first send your kiddo to come talk to us. It should always be coach, player, and then if you don't like that response, then we can set up a meeting. If you're still not happy with that response, then we'll set up a meeting with the AD. But we're also going to communicate with your child. So we're going to talk to them about expectations, practices and games, requirements, injuries, rules and guidelines, and we're going to coach them. That's what we're there for. What kiddos should communicate with us is any scheduling conflicts they have, if they're concerned about some of the expectations, they have questions for self-improvement. That's what we really are there for, is to help them improve as players and as people. And then encourage your kiddo to advocate for themselves. Come in and talk to us, coach and player. That's what we want to do. And then appropriate concerns to discuss with a coach. If you don't feel like your child is being treated well mentally and physically, we're happy to talk to you about that. Ways your child can improve. And then if you have any concerns about your child's behavior, we're also here for that. Things that we will not talk to you about. We're not going to talk playing time. Okay, we're not going to talk what our team strategy is, the plays that we call. We're not going to talk to you about other student athletes, and we're not going to talk to you about other coaches. And do not talk to us after a game. Typically, if it's a game, that game didn't go well, you're frustrated, your player's frustrated, we're frustrated, that is not the time to have a conversation. Sit on it for 24 hours, and we're happy to talk to you after that. At outside fees and clothing, we do ask for a one-time donation of $20 to cover all outside costs for the season. We will not ask for any additional money. That money is going to be used to cover senior gifts, our volleyball banquet, end of the season coaches' gifts, and we do that so that they're not constantly coming after you for $5 or $10 here. So if you can't give $20, we understand, give what you can. If you want to give more than $20, we'll always take your money. So we're going to do that towards the beginning of the season. The clothing order was done in June, and so it was all done. If you did order some of the tights, I don't know where they are. I don't know when they'll come in, but if I hear something, I will pass it on. In terms of what the girls wear to school, the seniors pick what they wear on game days. We encourage them to do, if it's a dress-up day or if it's a t-shirt, to do it, because not only does it promote team unity, but it also promotes our program. And the Dig Pink, we don't know what's going to happen with Dig Pink with everything's going on. This year it is DCG's turn to help. But in the past, we've asked for a parent volunteer that worked with the silent auction, the t-shirt, and the dinner. So we will see, and we will let you know. Working events. We rely on you to work events. Well, I'm going to send out a Google form, and you need to tell me what you're most comfortable doing in terms of line judging, libero tracking, scoreboard, and scorebook, and then we will assign you to games because we need you to do those. Lisa is no longer with the AD's office, and she's no longer able to do that online sign up, so we're going to send something out, and we're going to take care of that for you. You might also be approached about working the concession stand. All right, last but not least, COVID. We are encouraging all the girls to bring masks, water bottles, hand sanitizer to every game and practice. If social distancing is not possible, then masks need to be worn. They're not going to be required for play, but they may be required to be worn during the bench. We are ordering some of the gator masks that are kind of like the scarves, and they go over the mouth so they can go up and down. Things that we need from you at home. Take your kid's temperature for us. We're not going to have time to do it at practice because we have to ask them the screening questions every time they come in. We're going to be grouping them into smaller players, and they're probably going to stay on that one court so that we can do contact tracing and so that not everybody's exposed to the entire team. The other big piece, too, is that if you haven't been feeling well and you or your player is getting tested for COVID, please communicate that with us because they want to be able to contact trace right away. If you get a positive test, we obviously need to know ASAP so we can figure out who on the team that will impact. The kind of bummer for the season, too, is we can't have any large group team dinners. Typically on Mondays, we had a big group team dinner together in the Commons. We're not going to be able to do that. So as coaches, we are going to talk and try to come up with a creative way to kind of keep this tradition alive throughout the year. We'll let you know when we know more about that. If you have any questions or concerns about any of this, you can go through the handbook or you can shoot us an email and we're going to be happy to respond. Sorry we took up 15 minutes of your time with this really exciting PowerPoint presentation, but we look forward to playing and we will see your chillins on Monday.